Like we've got Prime Minister Handsome over here, and you guys have like Theresa May, and then there's that orange asshole down south. Mitchell Summers Hall is here, ladies and gentlemen. I know you from the internet, Mitchell.
We do, yes. It's God, how long ago since we interneted together? That sounded weirder than I thought it was. What, 7 years, 8 years?
7, 8, somewhere around there. Yeah. Like I mean, I was in university at the time, and I think that you were just about to start.
Yeah, I think so.
You're like a couple years younger than me, I think. Anyhow,
25.
Yeah, so I'm 28, so that tracks. So yeah, it was like, I guess 2009 was the first time that we would have interacted. 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
And then we talked about wrestling, and then inevitably football, which is what we're here to talk about today. How good is Mohamed Salah?
We've started, have we? Good. I'm glad. Mohamed Salah is probably going to be Player of the Year. Let's be fair.
I don't think he's going to be, because they did the Player of the Year voting already, and like around the time that they were doing, because like it's the same thing that happens every year, that like somebody has an amazing back half of the season, even though like Salah has been fantastic all season, but like I mean around the time that they did the voting, I think it was Kevin De Bruyne who was sort of the golden boy of the Prem. And like don't get me wrong, like I would like KDB on my team any day of the week, but I think like in terms of just pure impact over one season, I don't think you can say, like, I mean, Salah is the best player that we've had on our team since Luis Suarez, bar none.
Yeah.
Like, and the nice thing is that, and I promise we're going to get away from Liverpool. I promise you that we wouldn't make this all about making you talk about Liverpool. We're actually going to talk about your favorite team. But like, I feel like the team is just overall a better balanced unit than it was even in that season where we almost won the title. I you know, honestly, like in almost every position, like honestly, like what is typically speaking been our strongest area of the field is kind of our weakest at the moment, and that's the midfield. We kind of have a dull midfield. But that's about to change with bringing in Naby Keita, which, I don't know, like, I know it's a meme at this point, like, next year might be our year, but next year might be our year. Like,
you know what, Liverpool have been, you know, Liverpool fans have been sort of really relying on their history for so long, and it, like you say, it is a bit of a meme now. It is a bit, it almost getting boring, but you know, I can't disagree. You know, we were having conversations probably this time last year about how you know, you were just trying to win the title with 6, 7 central attacking midfielders and not a lot else. But yeah, you know, I can't disagree with you. You're looking like Klopp is building something pretty impressive, and yeah, you know, you've got, you know, Man City can't carry on in the same vein that they have done this season. They can't. It's been, you know, they've absolutely romped to the title. But in the same way that when we won the title, that teams figured us out very quickly, and we needed a plan B, and we found it very difficult to get that plan B. Once teams sussed us out, I think that teams will start to suss Man City out as well. For next season, which makes next season's title race very, very interesting, of which Liverpool are certainly going to be a part of it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think really, I don't see how. I mean, it's all going to depend on what Chelsea does, I think, because I don't like Tottenham will be back up there. They're kind of having a rough go, but you know, like Harry Kane's hurt right now, so you know, there's that. You know, depending on who Chelsea appoints after Conte's gone, it's going to be interesting, because I don't see, even though they are second right now, I don't see Manchester United under Jose Mourinho making a real title push, just because I don't think he knows how to build an attacking team anymore. And like, I mean, you can win games by parking the bus, but you know, as we've seen, you can't catch a team like Manchester City while parking the bus the entire time. I don't know. That's just my, you know, less than erudite opinion on the matter, but
no, I think you're exactly right. You know, at the end of the day, it's 3 points for a win, you know, and 1 for a draw, and that was that. You know, you need to go out and you need to win games, and I think you're right. The mindset there is so backwards at Manchester United at the minute. And again, you look at when they had their success, back in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s, and they were romping to sort of 4-0, 5-0, 5-1 victories, and winning titles with ease and playing good football with it. And it's just like that essence of sort of invincibility and sort of impressive football has just been lost over the past few years. So I think you're right. I think it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how much money he throws at the team, when actually I think he's got some really good young talent in sort of the likes of Lingard and Rashford, who I think have been really stunted this season. And I think it really was a chance for someone like Rashford to break out this season. And he just hasn't been given the opportunity by Mourinho. And it's going to be interesting to see where they go next year.
Yeah, curiously, like the only game that he seems to really give Marcus Rashford a go is in the big ties. Like, I mean, obviously he played against Liverpool in our 2-1 defeat there, but it's interesting that obviously Southgate seems to rate Marcus Rashford, and I would certainly I'm kind of rooting for England at the World Cup, and I want to see Lingard in that team. So I don't know. It's interesting to see, but I want to step away from current day football for a second here and get into the reason that I really wanted to have you on the show, because of course you are a Leicester City fan.
I am. I'm a very proud Leicester City fan.
And I don't think that I'm gonna be too mean here to say that can't be an easy thing to be all the time.
No, absolutely not. I think that is a fair point.
So I want to take you, before we go to that season, 15-16, I want to take you back to Christmas time, 2014 or 2015, I guess. You're literally bottom of the table.
Yep.
Candidates for relegation, just absolutely doesn't look good for you at all. Just take me back to that time. Where was your headspace at as a fan? How were things for you at the bottom of the table at that point in time?
It was pretty dismal. We came into the season with a fair bit of optimism, having sort of a decent season the previous season when we'd come up, and it was pretty dismal. I felt like the first half of that season we were actually not playing bad football, and we were being competitive in a lot of the games, and it was just a combination of some horrendous luck. And if you look back on that season, we did have some massive calls and some real slices of luck go against us, and also individual errors being punished really clinically, that saw us down there. So it was really frustrating to say that actually we were down there, and okay, the results don't lie, but I think a lot of fans shared my view that we didn't really deserve to be down there on the sort of the balance of the football that we were playing. But yeah, down there we were, and it wasn't a happy place to be.
Well, following a run of victories in the second half of the season, you became only the third team in Premier League history. I'm not going to get into the whole First Division versus Premier League and when football actually started, Sky Sports debate here, but in Premier League history, anyhow, you're only the third to escape the drop after being very bottom of the table at Christmas time. So at that point in time, you have a very exciting situation. Nigel Pearson has rescued you from the dead. Things have got to be looking up for you at that point in time when you're coming into the off season, into the summer, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We were really riding a crest of the wave, and then another episode in the Nigel Pearson saga was waiting just around the corner.
Yes, absolutely. And I wanted to sort of get your sense on this. And I don't know, like the listener of this show may not have been aware. There was a bit of a to-do in, I guess it was Thailand?
It was Thailand, yeah.
Yeah. So you have Leicester City has Thai owners, don't they? Or is it?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, they are Thai. Yeah.
So the team had been over in Thailand for I guess a little postseason party. I
think it was described officially as a goodwill trip, but yeah, it didn't generate a great deal of goodwill.
So what went on?
So the rumours abound of, like you say, some quite late night partying, and there were a couple of the team's sort of reserve players. There were none of the star players were sort of implicated, but a couple of the team's reserve players were involved in a sex tape scandal with some ladies of the night in Thailand that they filmed and obviously messaged round, and eventually the film found its way into the mainstream media over here, and like I said, did not generate a great deal of goodwill amongst the Thai owners.
Right, and sort of Nigel Pearson kind of took the fall for that, more or less.
Yeah, so just to add to the drama, his son was actually one of the players who was involved.
Oh, right, I remember that.
Yeah, so I think I don't know how much he sort of condoned it, but I think that definitely had some kind of bearing on the decision to relieve him of his duties.
My goodness. So he gets canned, and then former. I remember this being kind of like okay, this is interesting, an interesting appointment. Just because, like, I mean, to be perfectly honest, like I don't know about you, but like there isn't as much media for me to turn on the TV and watch here in Canada to keep an eye on what other teams in the Premier League are doing. More or less, I'm just watching Liverpool related stuff when the Liverpool games are on TV. I don't know how much view of other teams you tend to get over there, because I mean, obviously you're going to have a little bit more football focus than I would here. But I remember even just like paying attention to things, and I think maybe even conversations you and I had online. I remember the appointment of Claudio Ranieri, former Chelsea boss, former Greece boss, hadn't really flattered himself at Greece, as I recall. He was appointed as Leicester City manager at that point.
Yeah, and I think the collective reaction was sort of a what? It was a very, it felt like a very left field appointment. After Pearson's success, we'd previously gone for sort of managers who, were sort of big names and a lot of continental sort of guys that hadn't worked out. And then with Pearson coming in and like we say, having the success that he did, it finally felt like the owners had sort of arrived at a blueprint of what a successful Leicester City manager was going to look like. And then with Claudio's appointment, it was then like, okay, are we going back into the dark days of sort of the Paulo Sousas and the Sven-Göran Erikssons, and have they just gone for, a name rather than actually look into their credentials? So yeah, it was a confusing one, I think.
Right, but it didn't take long for Claudio Ranieri to really start to make his mark on the team. And I remember he said that the goal for the season was it 40 points? 40 points.
40 points.
Yeah.
40 points was all he was worried about.
Yeah, and I mean, fair enough when you're a team that was tipped to be relegated, and 6,000 to 1 odds, I believe, was what it was in terms of winning the Premier League.
5,000 to 1, I think it was.
5,000.
Yeah.
I think it varied depending on what betting
Yeah.
site you use, but yeah, it was 5,000 to 1 odds based on at the start of the season. Of course, you get odds for every team on the table, but Everton isn't going to win the title anytime soon. So even chipping on a sneaky $5 or £5 to that seems like a silly thing. But we'll get to that a little bit later. But it doesn't take long. I remember messaging you beginning of the season saying that you were at the top of the table. And
yeah, it was the first game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the very first game, and I seem to recall, like, Liverpool. We had a good outing, but it was on goal difference. You guys were ahead, and like I remember specifically saying to you, man, are you getting like lightheaded from the lack of oxygen that high up the table?
Yeah, I remember it well, and absolutely at that point we were just sort of enjoying it while it lasted, and enjoying the football that was being played, and knowing that although there might not have been a mighty fall, that nobody could even dream of what was going to come next.
I seem to recall when you and I were talking about this season as it was getting started, you specifically said top 10 finish. And I remember thinking that was a good benchmark, and it was good growth for the team and all that sort of stuff. But top 10 finish, that seemed like a good idea. But very, very short order, you started stacking up wins and like really did a really fantastic job. I think you went undefeated for for how many games? It was something like 10 games or something like that you were completely undefeated. You had